So what's Jackie Smith's middle name? The answer is Jill.
That's right, I only found out this morning Jackie Smith's name is Jill, middle names, as in the well-known children's nursery rhyme. Jackie Jill went up the hill to fetch a pail. went up the hill to fetch a pail for the taxpayers' money. Yeah. When she came down, it had all gone. You're watching The Right Stuff with Mark Little, Gail Porter and our special guest Richard Herring in a moment, which is going to take us through the rest of today's headlines. First, though, reaction to the news that former Home Secretary Jackie Smith won't have to repay any of the £116,000 she wrongly claimed on her second home. Email your views, please, to rightstuff@5.tv. Kirsty will read some out in a moment. It's complicated, this, because an independent inquiry led by Parliamentary Standards Chief John Lyon at first found Jackie Smith guilty of breaking the rules over what she could claim on her second home. But then the audit by Sir Thomas Legg that's published yesterday found that while Jackie had wrongly claimed £116,000, it accepted that she was only following official advice at the time, and therefore there was no need for her to repay any of the cash. She only had to say sorry. Jackie claimed, you'll remember, a room in her sister's house in London as her main home, which allowed her to charge the taxpayer £116,000 in expenses for the family home in her West Mids constituency of Redditch. And investigators found Jackie spent 137 nights in London last year, but 173 in Redditch. Scores of other MPs. This is where it gets really confusing for me, you know. Scores of other MPs are being asked to repay the cash they've wrongly accrued on second homes. People like the Health Minister, Phil Hope, he's got to repay nearly 43 grand. Keith Vaz must stump up £19,000. And Jackie Smith doesn't have to pay a penny. And no wonder some backbenchers are talking about taking legal action. Mark, can you explain?
I don't know what's going on in there. I mean, she's already lost her job because of the 10 quid of the 2 porn films.
Yeah, so, and the 88p plug.
So she's gone through... And the 88p plug. I mean, the more you read, the more you boggle at what's going on. So she's already been humiliated and gone through the mill, lost her job, lost any cred, right? But I think this is part of damage control, because there are three main leaders of all the top parties have also been named by Mr. Legg. Yeah. The Prime Minister owes some money. Yeah. Cameron, they're still... The jury's
They're all
out.
going to pay it back, though,
They're all going to pay it back. She's broken the... It's because this is all to do with spirit of the law. This is actually the law. So with the spirit of the law that was entered into, I don't know how they get away. She did it really well, because they're thinking, oh, that's too much to pay back, isn't it, 116? You've already lost your job. You can have that one. I don't understand how they're doing it. It does make us, as voters and good law-abiding citizens, feel a little bit weirded out.
Well, I wonder, Richard, if you were a backbench MP with a little toothbrush moustache, and you had just been ordered to repay £40,000 that you were told by the Parliamentary Standards people that you could claim as a legitimate expense, so you're seething angry with that, how would you feel about the former Home Secretary being let off?
I guess you'd be annoyed, but I sort of think it's weird that they're having to pay it back at all, because it isn't necessarily they were cheating the system a little bit, like none of you have ever done that and claimed stuff that you're not meant to claim.
But they were
they were working, Matthew, right, with your big pile of receipts. But I think I just wonder how much is it costing to do this investigation. So is it now they've made the point and they've humiliated people? Is it actually is it actually worth the taxpayers' money to investigate it?
The most important thing is surely it's got to be to stop it happening again. That's why we should be.
I think what they should do is pay MPs really well. What they should say is you can't have a second job. There's all these people who go out and on committees and do other things. If you're an MP, be an MP. Give them a house. Give them loads of money. They're important people. Wherever they come from, we should be paying them a decent amount of money so they don't have. The reason they're taking these expenses is because they took a pay cut to look, so that it looked like they were being frugal. But then they actually, they're the most important people in the country. We should be paying them well so people want to be MPs, and so that we get good people in the House of Commons. Put a house in the consistency, give them a house in London.
If you look at the depth and complexity of some of the claims that people put in, you have to ask just how important was representing their constituents. They must have spent an awful lot of time working out how to claim money back.
Yeah, well, so get them out of Parliament, get people who want to be in Parliament, but pay them properly for being in there. So,
Gail, with us.
I am with you. I'm with you. I just want to know who was watching Raw Meat 3. That was the porn film that she got. But did she have to pay for that?
Well, she's apologised and paid the money back.
And paid the money. And I agree with Richard. I think they should be paid well, and they did it. She did it thinking
I
that
think they are paid well. Can I just say that again? They're representatives of the people.
She did it within the system, and then now everyone's going back on it, saying they want everyone to pay.
But it can't be fair that she's being told don't pay the money back, and other MPs are being told you have to pay the money back for the same thing. It just makes no sense to me.
None of it makes any sense.
OK, well, on that conclusive and decisive note, we'll end up here. Don't forget you can email your thoughts. Writestuff@5.tv is the address. And after the break, Richard's going to take us through the rest of today's headlines.
So according to the Daily Mirror, what percentage of Brits are afraid of getting old? The answer is a huge 86%.
Thank you very much. You're watching The Right Stuff live on 5 with Gail Porter, Mark Little and our special guest Richard Herring. Coming up shortly, our first phone-in, this poster for animal rights charity PETA that uses a mugshot of Stephen Barker, a man who moved from abusing pets to causing or allowing baby P's death. As I mentioned earlier, the billboard brands him a murderer, but he's not, while the ad itself is situated about a mile from where baby P died. Is PETA exploiting the death of baby P? 0207 173 5555. That's the number for your calls. First, though, the rest of today's headlines. What have you got for us, Richard?
We've got Daily Mail. It's covered in a lot of papers that a mother of 8 is held by nursery paedophile detectives. This is another addition to this. I mean, she's not been charged with anything. I don't think she's being interviewed by the police, but and she lives in Portsmouth. It's kind of and Little Ted's nursery's in Plymouth, so goodness knows what a connection with it is. But it's a bizarre story.
I think the police are investigating all the sort of Facebook links between people, so there may be more names brought in. But as you said, I mean,
she's pregnant. She's got loads of children herself, and is somehow involved with this, and also with the Mirror, with Vanessa George, who has been charged and convicted of her involvement in this case. They've got the interview with her, and she's still refusing to comment about...
Well, in actual fact, they showed on the TV last night the tapes, you played the tapes of the detectives interviewing her, and I think it's worth playing them for you now. Check this out. I mean, to put that in context, I mean, previously in the interview, she's sort of saying, you know, what I did was vile, I did it because it was easy. I mean, it's bizarre, but the reaction to being asked to name the children are icy cold. Icy cold. It's
very confusing. I mean, I don't know whether it's that kind of... maybe it doesn't seem real. It's sort of happening on the internet, though obviously it is horribly real.
People trying to struggle with the idea that a mother could abuse children. I think that's...
But obviously people get into this mindset where they're they're controlled, or you know, it's a bit like Manson and Brady and everything, that, you know, they get into a world and then... And obviously, you know, maybe it seems to me she's just kind of incredibly stupid and maybe doesn't know what she's been doing, but I don't know.
Say that first, until the naming issue, and there seems to be some sort of resolve not to name.
I don't understand, you know, but it feels like a cult thing, doesn't it? Rather than, because why wouldn't she say? So it's a very odd story.
Anything else? Do you have anything cheerful?
Well, slightly more cheerful, I guess, is the nurse who was struck off the register because she was on Panorama and revealed the whistle. She talked about the poor standard of care in the homes. She's called Margaret Hayward. Yeah, she was actually sacked for having a wiretap, I think, wasn't she, with Panorama?
Patient confidentiality.
But now she's got her job back. She's been reinstated. Good. So that is good news for her and for common sense, I think, again.
She's still not been entirely exonerated, though, has she, by the nursing professional body? I think they're still dragging their feet. I hope they come to their senses, because I think what she did was very, very important.
Well, it's quite a brave thing to do, I suppose, to stand up to that. And, it's good to point out when things are deficient and need changing.
Even if it does involve compromising patients' rights to confidentiality?
I think so in this case, but, you know, I suppose you can slightly understand it the other way, but it does seem overreaction to
anything else?
Yeah, we've got Bernard Cribbins. Anything Bernard Cribbins says is all right by me. He's 80 years old now.
Fantastic fly fisherman by all
accounts. He did the you know, their wombles and everything in Jackanory. He was obviously in, which people of my age, Matthew, may remember. And he's saying that children's TV's gone too high-tech with the computer-generated stuff, and we should go back to storytelling. He was on Jackanory and just did little stories with little theatres made out of cards, which, you know, were enjoyable shows. And he's saying maybe it's gone too far.
You can't turn back the clock now.
I think it is hard, but, you know, I guess it's an interesting thing, because TV is getting so expensive and ridiculous, and then actually, you know, you can entertain a child with an empty cardboard box. Yeah. So why spend all this money on crazy, you know? And when you can, you know, Bernard Cribbins telling a story, I would. He says him or he says if him or Dame Judi Dench or the late Kenneth Williams read a story to kids. I think if the late Kenneth Williams were to read a story to kids now, that might be a bit too scary, but it does it does lead us on to the next story. But